Hello, and thanks for joining our Place to Call Home event this evening. My name is Julie Wuplick. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at the Morningstar Foundation, and I would like to welcome you this evening. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, but we're also going to learn a little bit about 4 local nonprofits that are helping our community to provide a safe place to call home for homeless, expecting, and new teen moms here in Spokane. To start out, I'd like to thank our corporate sponsor, First Interstate Bank. Thank you so much for your generosity and for helping to make tonight a success. A little bit about what to expect this evening. We're going to be sharing some stories from these local nonprofits. And then once we finish that up, we're also going to learn a little bit about how to make a gingerbread house. From Ricky Webster, he's our own local celebrity chef. He's been featured on the Hallmark Channel as well as the Food Network. And we'll wrap up the night by hopping into an interactive Zoom session where we can all start working on our own individual gingerbread houses. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get busy building our gingerbread houses, I'd like to take a moment to build some awareness around a problem we have in Spokane. There are a significant number of young teen expecting moms or young moms who have found themselves without a safe place to call home. One of the main problems around this is that these young girls have not developed the life skills that they need to care for their child. That's where Alexandria's House, Aston Black Apartments, Transitions, and TLC come in to provide resources and help get these girls back on track and help them to develop the self-confidence they need to become successful moms and successful women.
My name is Maddie. I'm 19 years old and I'm part of Aston Black's Apartments, which is also known as TLC. I'm not a parent quite yet, but I am 8 months pregnant. It was very overwhelming at first. I was scared of what I was going to tell my parents, especially with my mom not living in the same state, so I knew it was going to be hard no matter what I did. When I found out I was pregnant, I was about 2 months and I went to the doctor because I thought I had COVID, and it ended up not being COVID but positive pregnancy test, and I laughed at my doctor's face, and then I started crying when I realized it was real. It was very overwhelming and I was very scared of what was going to happen and what my parents were going to say. I was supposed to be the star child, good grades, play sports, you go to school, college, and a lot of my plans kind of got halted at that point. But I had to make sure that I graduated high school, and that's the first thing I did.
My name is Ty-Marie. I'm 18. I live in the Alexandria's House, and this is my daughter, Taylin. I found out I was pregnant my boyfriend's family told me they thought I was pregnant because I was at a football game and I wasn't eating because I didn't feel good. And they were like, you might be pregnant, so take a test. I have one in the bathroom. And I was just like, okay, but it's not gonna come out positive. And it did, and I was shocked. I was confused, I was scared. I had nowhere to go. My mom was in jail and my dad was homeless. And I was going friend's house to friend's house.
Hey, my name is Elena Martinez, and this is Nicole Ayla. And I'm a resident here at TLC and a participant of the Educare program. I got pregnant when I was 19 years old. I did not have a lot of support from my family. I was just getting out of a bad relationship, and my sister wanted me to terminate the pregnancy, and my mom would not help me unless I decided to move back home with her. Finding out that I was pregnant and having a toddler, basically, and living in a car, it was very overwhelming, extremely overwhelming. There were days and nights when I would fall asleep with my toddler on me, and basically just want to have a panic attack but not want to move because I don't want to wake her up. And it's scary. This is Spokane, so it's not safe.
My name is Jenica Sawyers, and I work for Volunteers of America. I'm the Youth Families Program Manager, and I run Alexandria's House and Aston Black Apartments for pregnant and parenting teens. I think the number one most important thing that we do is we get our girls housed. We get them in a safe place, in a safe environment, where they can start to feel comfortable enough to be able to start working on some of those obstacles and barriers that they've had. Being a teen mom is not easy. There's a lot of struggles, but a lot of joy and happiness that comes with that as well. And so our number one thing that we do here is we walk alongside our girls. And so we meet them where they are. So if they're in need of, classes for parenting or for how to have a healthy relationship, we try to accommodate those things. So the girls get to kind of learn about good healthy foods and different ways to cook stuff and things that they can do to supplement when they're on a low income or on a tight budget. A lot of the girls, when they come in, they don't even know how to use a dishwasher. So we're also teaching them those basic independent living skills of how do you scrub a toilet? How do you wash the dishes? How do you make sure that your food in your fridge isn't going bad? Just basic stuff like that, and just surround them in support with whatever they need. When I know that I've done a good job, or I know that my team is doing a good job, is that moment when a mom has entered our program, and before, they're always really nervous when they come in, and they're unsure as to what to expect and how everybody else in the house might respond to them. And so they do a lot of alone time in their room and kind of isolating themselves. And so I think that the moment that I walk into work and I see a young mom laying on the couch with a blanket and her child just hanging on her phone is that moment that I know we're doing something good here, which is that feeling of home is how we know.
Somebody who believed in me and supported me was my friend's mom and her. They were helping me get out of a toxic environment and helping me find a place. They let me stay with them. They were helping me eat. They were trying to help me get on my feet with my social security, where to go, everything. And then her mom was just like, go to the Alexandra's house. You have no choice, just do it. I was just like, okay, and I did. I'm happy I did. When I had my first ultrasound, that's when I started to ease up and was actually starting to get excited. And I went to Catholic Charities, I went everywhere, and they told me that I should go to the Alexandra's house. And I was like, no at first, because nobody wants to live with people you don't know. And so I said no at first, but then I was like, you know what, might as well. And so when I came here, I didn't know how to think at first, but then the second day I was like, I can get used to this. I like it here. The Alex's house started to feel like home when I got to meet everybody. Everybody was so nice and they were so welcoming. They weren't awkward. They weren't they weren't rude. They welcomed me, and I felt like I'd known them for a long time, even though I only known them for like a month. And I liked it like the second day I came. It was heartwarming.
I'm Amy Manning. I'm the Director of Housing Services at Transitions. That includes the Transitional Living Center, or TLC, called Tender Loving Care, for the moms and kiddos, and Miriam's House, which is for single women, and then the Home Yard Cottages, which is permanent housing for families and singles. Nobody plans to be homeless and to need transitional housing. So when we meet folks, we meet them in a really vulnerable space where they're struggling. I think that's a tough barrier to overcome. However, I think there's an understanding that we're all human and that we all struggle, and we really try to focus on people's strengths and what they can do and how amazing and brave they are to start things again or rebuild things or do things that they've never done. There's a bravery and a vulnerability in that it takes a lot of strength. The respect for human dignity and growth and wholeness are really important to all of the work that we do here at TLC. We work so closely with Educare to help support the whole family. What they do at Educare is really focus on kiddos and their development, but we try to move that through all of the moms at Aston Black, at TLC, really focus on growing the whole family and strengthening them.
Pretty much everyone I've met since joining Aston Black Apartments has been here for me and supported me, and I've been very grateful. It's a lot more than I thought I would be getting. I kind of thought it would be here's a place to live, and we'll talk if you want to talk. I definitely get checked up more with the people that I've met at Aston Black Apartments, such as Jenica and Sarah, and they've kind of become bigger sisters to me. And hearing about Jenica and Sarah's background really helped me, take into account this isn't my fault. I shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed of myself. Stuff happens for a reason, and I get to talk about experiences I've had in my life and connect on a level where I feel very supported. Home to me is just being surrounded by people who love and support you and who want the best for you. And I started feeling that way almost immediately. It was different because I wasn't really sure what to expect. And at first I was very scared because I didn't know, how to do this. I've always been surrounded by friends and family, and so it was very challenging at first. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know if I was going to make friends or anything like that. And it's been a lot easier, getting back on track and everything like that.
My name is Shelby Bercumpus. I'm the program director of Educare at Transitions, so I manage our daycare operations. Educare provides a stable child care facility for all of our moms who are experiencing homelessness and in transitional housing. It really gives them the opportunity to go out and find jobs or go to their counseling appointments, and meanwhile their children just have a really supportive and environment that's conducive to their learning and development. A lot of the times coming in, our new residents are a little hesitant to drop off their children at childcare. A lot of times they're first-time moms and they've never done this before. So we just make it really clear that we have an open door policy at our center. I also think establishing an environment where the moms can come to us with any concerns, where they don't have to be afraid of judgment or conflict in those, is a great way to establish that trust. I measure success by knowing that a mom is leaving our program more confident in her parenting abilities and feeling more bonded with her baby. We're really there to educate the moms and help them fill in the gaps they have in any parenting skills. They know that they'll always have somebody to lean back on if they have questions or need some support. They know we'll always be there.
I went to the Wraparound Wednesday with the YWCA, and they put me in it's sort of an emergency shelter. And then from there I was put in touch with TLC, and within probably a week had called me and said they had an apartment ready for me. So Tara, she is the first person that I met when I came here. She's the person who called me, and she's the person who sat me down and did my walkthrough. She's really been there for me. Like I said, I don't have that relationship with my sister, and she's kind of taken that place as an older sister would. She helped me to get my daughter into daycare when my daughter, she wouldn't talk to anybody. She wouldn't be babysat just to go to the store. And she's the one who put me in touch with Educare, basically walked us there and helped us get funding because I couldn't pay for it. So she got us a scholarship. She's just very like a sister. She's really made the transition smooth and put me in touch with resources that have really been life-changing. I have more confidence. I don't feel so alone. I feel like a better mom. I have a routine now, which I've never really had before. Like we have the same routine every day, which we didn't have before. And she's really helped me. She has 2 kids, so she puts me in touch with resources online, stuff like that, that can help me be a better parent, because she knows that's one of my main goals, is to be the best mom ever, which I know I can't always be, but after feeling like a failure, it feels really good to have someone encourage you and see that you are a good mom, that you just needed the resources to show that.
The important work that these 4 nonprofits are doing would not be possible without your generous donations. If you're feeling led to give tonight, please text Gingerbread Spokane to 44321. That's Gingerbread Spokane to 44321.
I see myself finishing school. I want to become a doctor or a nurse or somewhere in the medical field. And I see myself living in Arizona with my own house, some animals, just doing it right.
So I'm actually going the adoption route, and I met a great family last week, and I'm planning on going to school to study molecular biology. I'm very excited about that. Hopefully I can go to Eastern or WSU, or even just start with my AA at Spokane Community College or SFCC. I have a lot of plans, and I just want to be ready for everything.
So my main definition of success is owning your own home, but I know that's pretty far down the road. I'd like to be self-employed. I'm a cosmetologist, and I want to own my own salon one day. Just living in my own home and being self-sufficient.
What a heartfelt story. It takes such bravery to get in front of the camera and share your experience with our audience tonight, so thank you. Also, thank you to our North Pole Adventure corporate sponsors, First Interstate Bank, for helping girls to have a safe place to call home. I'm excited to introduce our next guest, Ricky Webster, owner of Rind and Wheat, and our own local celebrity chef from the Food Network and the Hallmark Channel. So grab your gingerbread house kits, let's get started.
Hello, I'm Ricky Webster, and we're here in honor of Morning Star Foundation to represent Volunteers of America and Transitions. We're going to be decorating a little bit of a gingerbread house tonight, and you should have that little kit so that you can decorate along. I personally got involved with Volunteers of America and Transitions when we were all furloughed a few months back, and I found myself just baking more than ever in hopes that one day I could open my own shop, and also just to pass the time, because it's something that I do in my spare time to relieve some stress and anxiety and ground myself. And I must have been a little stressed because I quickly found myself with way too much baked goods and I couldn't consume them all. So I reached out to see if there was somewhere where I could personally donate those items, that they would go to a good home. And I was connected to Alexandria House. Alexandria House is a wonderful organization that helps to get young women off the streets, whether they're expecting or have a child of their own already. Once they get them in a safe place that they can start to thrive in and get a nice, nutritious meal and get supplied with some clothing and all the things that help to make you feel back on your feet, they work with those young women to get them in the workforce and or thriving again. And we really appreciate everything you do at Alexandria So with this event, A Place to Call Home, we are celebrating everything that Alexandria House does to support these young women and give them a home of their own. So we're going to assemble this gingerbread house, and sometimes they have a rap for being difficult. You know, I think there's some tips along the way that I'll be able to share with you that might take the pressure off. And at the end of the day, you know, it's a cookie and icing, and it's going to be delicious. So let's do this together. The next step is when we are going to assemble our house. So you should have received all your pieces in the box, and those are going to go in our little tray here. The kit makes it a little bit easier and gives you a little cheat there, but we want to make sure you succeed this evening. Once we assemble our house, then we are going to decorate it. And that's when the icing comes in and all those little sprinkles and colorful candies. Then we can really make our house shine, and you can customize it to be however you'd like it. And the last step is enjoy, whether that's displaying to be proud of and show everyone that comes over, or whether you're just going to break into it and eat it right away like my family used to do when we were growing up. All right, so let's get started. So I have that icing in the piping bag that it came with, and you can feel free to use the nozzle or tip that they gave you. You can put that in the end before you put your icing in, but I'm gonna go ahead and skip it myself. I find those a little bit more difficult, but that's because I like to control the thickness of my icing with a pair of scissors. So cut the end off, and I'm going to pipe a small amount, maybe a little bit more. So you might want to use the nozzle. Pipe a small amount into the base tray. And you may think, oh, we need a ton of icing here, but that's not the case. Sometimes less is more. It doesn't weigh it down so much, and it also just gives you a nice clean line. If you were really concerned about the line on your gingerbread house when you're assembling it, and you have any food color around, you could dye that icing to be the same color as your gingerbread, which is something that I've done before when doing a gingerbread house competition. So when you pipe on that border, you do it the same color as the cookie itself, and then it kind of fades away, and when it dries, it just blends right in. So once we get that, then we can pipe on a little bit of icing on the edges where the cookies are going to meet one another. And that gets and sets right into our little channel of icing in the tray. And now we have our other cookie, and that's going to meet up with that seam. So again, remember, less is more here. And you see that we can hardly even see the icing. And that's perfect, because on the other side, we have a nice bead of icing in there, and that's going to dry faster. You're not going to have to worry about this panels falling down. And that's going to help to make everything just a little neater and a little cleaner. So now on our other wall panel, the same thing, put a bead of icing. And another little trick and tip for you is when you unbox this, sometimes there's some rough edges on this. And that's okay, that's just where that machine was cutting out the cookies. So if any of you have a microplane or a zester in the house, you can take one of these and just kind of clean up that edge. And that's just going to give you a nice smooth edge to absorb some of that icing and not be all rough and bumpy and potentially have your house not be as structurally sound. So once we have those up, then we're going to have our last wall go on. And that should fit in here. And then we want to make sure everything is nice and sandwiched together. And at this point, if you're worried about this falling down at all, you can take that same icing and give yourself a little bead on the inside so that maybe it'll help to give you a little bit more structure. But at this point, I feel good about where we're at. It's sturdy, and you can see there, we got all four sides standing. That's the first thing. This, I would recommend, should dry for maybe at least 10 minutes, and then you can put on your roof panels. But a little trick at this point, is we're kind of jumping to step 3, but only for the roof, is we can decorate that roof with some of the goodies, or maybe some goodies that you have at home. If you have any cereal, sometimes those little wheat clusters look nice on a roof and give you that like thatched roof look, or what I have in front of me is some sliced almonds, and those tend to look like shingles as well. So I'm going to put a few of those on here and shingle them up, and hopefully we end up with something that resembles a rooftop. So while I'm shingling this roof, Morningstar Foundation wanted me to tell you a little bit of my story. And, you know, I've gotten to do a lot of things being in this industry of food and beverage and cooking and being a chef. And I am very, very fortunate and grateful. And the reason I'm here today is, and I think a lot of the reason why, you know, any of us are successful or happy with where we're at is somebody believed in me. And my believe in me story really starts with my parents. You know, we grew up not super financially sound, I should say. You know, we always had food on the table, and we were very fortunate to come from a very loving home and background, but times got tough, and we didn't, you know, there was probably many a times that I don't know about that my parents were worried how food was going to get on the table, but somehow it always, you know, miraculously got there with the support of friends and family and loved ones. But my parents were extremely supportive, and I always was a big dreamer and had these big grandiose plans and ideas, and you know, they never shut me down, and they never told me I couldn't do something. And you know, they may have been like, well, that might be hard to achieve, but they, you know, got me to think about how I could achieve, rather than saying you're never gonna do that, or you can't do that, don't even try to do that. No, they encouraged me, and that is something that I'm extremely grateful for. You know, and I got my start in pastry and in cake art, and you know, that's essentially kind of what we're doing here today. And I went to my mom at 10 years old or 11 years old, and I said, Mom, I want to learn how to decorate cakes. And that's a huge ask. And I think she could have easily said, well, you got to wait till you're older. But she said, okay, let's figure out how you can learn to decorate cake. And we went to the local craft store, and she signed me up for cake decorating classes when I was, you know, 11 years old. And again, financially, money was tight, so that was a big ask and a big piece on her part. But at the end of the day, it made me happy. And 20-something years later, I'm still doing it. And you know, it's because I felt encouraged and supported and believed in, and that's never been something in my life that I've lacked. And I think I'm very, very fortunate and lucky to be able to tell that story. And you know, my family is very close and means a lot to me. So that's how I became where I am today. And with that, you know, I've never stopped dreaming, and I, you know, enter all these little cooking competitions, or have wound up on Food Network or Hallmark Channel and getting to decorate Christmas cookies the last few years, and believing in myself and pushing myself because I know there were people behind me believing in me as well. I think that's why we're here today, putting almonds on a roof, decorating a gingerbread house, but I still enjoy it like my first time at that cake decorating class when I was 11 years old. All right, so as we put our last little bit of almonds or whatever it is you're going to be decorating with on top of that roof, we are going to be putting this roof on our base because I think we've dried long enough. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed at least. And hopefully, I've done a few gingerbread houses and time it out correctly, but we'll see. All right, so now we are going to attempt to put the roof on the house. And I know before I said less is more, but in this case, this one scenario, we are going to make sure that that seam where the roof is going to sit is loaded up with a pretty good amount. I mean, again, I'm not, you know, globbing it on. It's not running down the sides or anything like that. But I'm just making sure that there's a nice, thicker bead or, you know, a little pile of it on top where it's going to touch the bottom of that cookie for the roof. All right, and then this is gonna sit on top. We're gonna make sure that we split it evenly on either side. And that's gonna help to get it a little bit more structurally sound as well, so that one side is not heavier than the other. And then we'll push it down to where that middle seam is right above that angle. And then we can let that sit in place for a few minutes just to ensure that it's not going to fall when we get the other side of the roof on. And here we go. Wish me luck. And you just want to, again, lightly press that for maybe 20 seconds or so. But to me, we're looking pretty good there. There we go. It's on. So once you get your roof on and it's nice and stable, you can start decorating. I already did that with some of these gumdrops that they gave us. And then we're going to take a little bit of this extra icing and put some snow wherever we think there would be snow, or possibly you made a little mistake or one of those almonds may have fallen off. So I'm just going to go in there and put that strategically, right? Because it's all about that perception at the very end, strategically where I needed to cover up any of my mistakes that I made, or where I think there should just be a little bit more snow. Then you can also take it and do icicles with it by pressing some and dragging it down as you release. And if some falls on the base, that's okay. I'm going to show you a little trick that we're going to do there as well. That's how you make it look nice and snowy in that winter wonderland. You're going to take whatever extra icing that they gave you, and you are going to spread it on the base here, which is like this plastic board that had that nice channel in it, so it made it a little easier. But we all know that that does not look like snow. This looks a lot more like snow. So take that extra icing and frost it like you maybe would. Maybe we shoveled our walk there so we can thin it out a little bit in that area. Hopefully we shoveled our walk. I do not like shoveling the walk. And then go around and just make it look like you just got that nice fresh snow, which we've already seen a lot of this year. And that kind of just ties it all together and makes it look finished. So have at it. Use all these little goodies that they made and gave you to make your gingerbread house and finish it off however bright and colorful you like.
If you're feeling led to give tonight, please text Gingerbread Spokane to 44321. That's Gingerbread Spokane to 44321.
All right, well, I still have a little bit of decorating to do, but I'm happy and it's standing up, and that's the main goal. But as I do that, you guys go off and have fun decorating your own gingerbread house kit. Also, please check out what we're doing down here at Rind and Wheat. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media outlets at Rind and Wheat, as well as making sure that you take a picture with your gingerbread house and hashtagging Gingerbread Spokane. Hashtag Gingerbread Spokane, okay? We can't wait to see what you guys come up with, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you, Ricky. That was so much fun. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to get started on my very own gingerbread house. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys.